Hello everybody, this is B. Harper from supermarcy.com and welcome back to another review. In honour of Terminator Genisys coming out next week, I want to have a look back at the Terminator film series. I will not be looking at the Sarah Connor Chronicles, the comic books, the novels, the video games, the rides or anything like that. No. I'm just going to be looking at the movies. Starting off, of course, with James Cameron's The Terminator. The Terminator stars, in no particular order, Linda Hamilton, Michael Biehn, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lance Henriksen, and Paul Winfield. As you could probably tell by my gaffe at the beginning of the video, Sarah Connor and the Terminator are two of the greatest icons ever. Linda Hamilton has quite easily broken the mould when it comes to action heroine, and it all started with the first Terminator movie. One of the greatest things about this film, among other things of course, is the fact that it refuses to be pinned down or pigeonholed into one genre. Yes, it is a science fiction movie involving time travel and artificial intelligence, as well as, post-apocalyptic wars in the future waged against malevolent computer intelligence. But when you dig deeper, it has so much more. For instance, it borrows very heavily from film noir. Film noir was all about presenting to you a dangerous, dark, and seedy atmosphere. And most of the film takes place at night, and the use of shadows and lighting and just everything about it screams danger, that the sorts of things that make you stay away from alleyways and, walk under streetlights and all that, stay out of the darkness. And also the fact that Carl Reese, played by Michael Biehn, favours a trench coat. Also, it is an action movie. There is no doubt about that. You have car chases, stunts, gunfights. Lots of physical stuff happens in this movie. There is truly never a dull moment. Everybody is constantly moving. It's an orchestra of mayhem, really. And additionally, on top of that, you have the thriller, which also has very, very close ties to horror. And that's pretty easy to figure out. The Terminator, for instance. What truly separates him from somebody, say, Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers? He's silent, he's strong, he's persistent, and he will not stop until Sarah Connor is dead. The death of Sarah Connor is the Terminator's mission. Nothing more, nothing less. And that persistence really is terrifying through the film, as it is personified by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But, to me, James Cameron himself has gone on the record by saying that every one of his movies is a love story. And with Sarah Connor and Carl Reese coming together one night and conceiving John Connor, the leader of the human resistance for the future, okay, call me sentimental, call me hokey, but to me that is love. That's an aspect of love. It is accepting who you are and what you mean. And in this film, it makes a point of saying that even if you feel that you're the most insignificant person on the planet, that's not true. You have a strength inside of yourself. And if you can find it, and if you can use it, you become one of the most important people on the planet. And such is the case with Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor doesn't start out like an asshole, right? She's a typical young woman. She's not really thinking about the long term. She's working in a seedy, well, not really seedy, but crummy roadhouse diner, constantly being turned into a doormat by her customers, everything. And the only thing that she has to look forward to at night, or rather every Friday night, is going out and having a good time, eating pizza, being with her friends and dancing and everything like that. She's not thinking about the future. So all of that gets turned upside down when Michael Biehn's Carl Reese shows up and, saves her from this great big hulking man who's trying to kill her for no apparent reason in a nightclub. The tech noir sequence in the Terminator is one of my favourites. It just utilises every single one of its elements so well. This film was made on a rather shoestring budget because James Cameron comes from Roger Corman's school of filmmaking, basically. So he had to make very good use of everything he had that day. His actors, the set design, the lighting, the ingenuity in front of and behind the camera is what makes the scene work so well. And its use of slow motion saturates everything these days. But in the case of, Sarah accidentally, knocking the salt shaker off the table and reaching down to pick it up, just as the Terminator is like looking her way, she bows out of frame so he doesn't see her. And it's just a moment like that, it's Sarah Connor starting to come into this world that she has to be a part of now. She is the mother of the future. Like, without her, John Connor would not be born. Without her strength and the fact that she needs to mother this child, she needs to, teach him everything she knows, that the future is lost. Another fantastic thing about this film is that, as Carl Reese says, there is no fate but for what we make for ourselves. What he's basically saying is that even though human beings have a very destructive nature, even though at some times we may not be able to help it, we still have that option to turn it around and do something positive with our lives. We can accept who we are and we can help other people. And even though the Terminator is, admittedly highly exaggerated in terms of this type of message, it is still ringing perfectly clear even now. There is a reason why the Terminator is on basically every single person's top films list, and that is because of these themes. That there is a place for everybody in the world if we are willing to take responsibility for our actions and not running away from who we are. And truth be told, this film visually still looks amazing. And even though the stop motion used for, the Terminator itself, when its human flesh is melted away in the truck explosion, out of it emerges this dark metal nightmare. And the way it moves is very sort of herky-jerky, and that's mostly because of the fact stop motion was used to do it. But even so, it still looks fantastic. It still looks so imposing. And of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator. This was not his first movie, of course, but it was the first film of which that people really took notice of this man. He has about 17 lines in this movie. The Terminator is all about efficiency. Brutal efficiency. None of his movements are wasted. And the way he is able to survey a room, this is what Arnold Schwarzenegger did. He took a cue from a great white shark. Sharks tend to look with their eyes first and then their head follows. And that's what Schwarzenegger does. You will see close-ups of him in this movie sort of going... like that. There's nothing about the Terminator that is wasted. And the Terminator is one of the most imposing and frightening villains ever. And it's an accurate depiction of what a robot may move like. Even though the Terminator was originally conceived by James Cameron to be an infiltration unit, somebody who could just sneak up behind you in a crowd and kill you and walk away, he was supposed to look like an everyman. And that was before he met Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I remember seeing an interview or a talk between Schwarzenegger and Cameron was saying at the back of his mind he always wanted Schwarzenegger to play the Terminator. And even though Schwarzenegger came to read for Carl Reese, he also wanted to play as the Terminator. So they eventually admitted it to each other, and they were just so grateful that they could, be on that level. And it really does work in the movie's favour. Schwarzenegger wouldn't play another bad guy until Mr. Freeze and Batman and Robin, but let's not talk about that. But yeah, this is one of his finest performances, and I feel the Terminator doesn't call much from his dramatic range, but it does work with Schwarzenegger's strength. Schwarzenegger in this movie is built like a fucking Panzer tank, right? In Terminator 2 Judgment Day, he was a lot more streamlined and, a lot leaner. In the first Terminator, like, the T-800 is, like, he's big. He is huge. And, Schwarzenegger works with everything he has in that movie, and you can't help but admire that. Linda Hamilton and Michael Biehn, fantastic. They offer the essential human element in this movie. Without the talent of these two actors, the only thing that this film would have had going for it performance-wise would be Schwarzenegger as the Terminator. But Hamilton and Biehn are just more than up to the task. Their relationship, their banter, you can believe this relationship that is growing overnight. And it's forced, granted, but it's done out of necessity. And it is because of the talent of these actors and the script and everything in this film that is bringing these characters together, it works. Lance Henriksen and Paul Winfield are excellent. They don't get that many scenes together, but both of them play detectives. Lance Henriksen is a bit of a jackass, but he's not a bad guy. And then you have Paul Winfield, who actually ends up believing Kyle Reese, because when Kyle is brought in for questioning after a really massive and stressful chase with the Terminator, he comes to believe what Kyle Reese is saying about the Terminator, like how it will not stop until it kills Sarah Connor. And that sense of sympathy really does come through. And yeah, it is such a well-acted movie. There is nothing about this film that screams, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You're in a science fiction sort of movie with time travelers and killer robots and blah, 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 blah. Everybody in this film takes it seriously. And I feel that is what truly elevates the material. This film could have easily been B-grade in terms of look, texture, everything, but it is done with A-list sensibilities. And Cameron knew that he had to work as hard as he possibly could in order to deliver the best product he possibly can. And Cameron is a perfectionist, and perfectionists can be rather dogged, but there is no doubt that what you see on the screen and what has resonated through cinematic history was well worth the blood, sweat and tears of everybody involved. Now, would I consider the Terminator better or not as good as Terminator 2? Well, it's apples and oranges for me. Even though I am going to review Terminator 2 Judgment Day, let me say this. The Terminator still is, and forever will remain, a classic movie. Nobody is going to forget this. Nobody is going to say, what is the Terminator in another 25 years or so time? It's just not going to happen that way, because the odds are in its favour. The planets were aligned, even Skynet couldn't stop this from happening. So I give the Terminator a 5 out of 5. It's unanimous. I really have nothing else better to say about this film. And quite frankly, my opinion has never changed about it. Never ever. And I hope if you haven't seen this movie that you can sit down and you can watch it and enjoy it. And really think about what this film is all about. It's not just about a killer robot. It's not just about a future war and all that. It's about you. It's about me. It's about everybody on this earth. With killer robots. Thank you very much again, guys. And as usual, take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.